I made this dress 2 years ago and it has been an absolute staple in my wardrobe ever since. It's really special to me because this is the first dress I ever made that I wore to work and got a compliment on, and doesn't that just always make you happy? Fills you with the squiggles inside. It is perfect at all times of year, but there's just something about it that feels autumnal, which is why I'm sharing it with you now. That, and I had a few people ask for it in the comments of my last video, so here you go guys, this one's for you. Now, I didn't actually have a pattern for this dress, but you can Frankenstein it out of something you already have, as long as you have a pattern that for a top that will fit you quite loosely, because the skirt element is just going to be made through maths. For reference, I use this pattern, and we'll notice that the neckline is quite a bit different, but I'll talk you through and show you how I altered that as I go. As we can see, the original pattern actually had it in several parts, so I just placed the pieces on top of each other as I was cutting, and that worked out absolutely fine. And while I was undecided about what length I wanted my sleeves to be at this point, I thought if I went with the longer option, then at least I could shorten it if I needed to. I am actually going to take this moment to point out that I am wearing something on the bottom. I'm not just kind of like making something half naked. I'm wearing flesh coloured leggings. I know how it looks, and I'm sorry, but I'm not nude, I promise. After I got all the pieces cut for the outside of the top, I pinned and sewed the darts down, and then I got on to making all the facings, which is what we can see here, which means I didn't have to hem around the neckline, which is like one of my least favourite things to do. It didn't actually come with any facing pattern pieces, but I kind of traced around the top of the pattern pieces for the top and then just shortened them so that when I sewed them around the neckline, that would work. Placing my front and back pieces together now, I pinned them at the shoulder and the side seams, sewed them with the recommended seam allowance, and then tried it on to fit. It was at this point I worked out where I wanted my neckline to go down to. When I did that, I took the top off, folded it in half, and just marked with pins where I wanted the new neckline to be. So you can see now it is exactly what I wanted, and it looks a lot more kind of fun and casual than what it was before. So to do the front facings, I took the pattern pieces, which I'd used for the front piece of the dress, and marked off with an heat erasable pen where I wanted it to be, and here you see me cutting that out now. I added some lightweight iron-on interfacing, sewed them at the two joining seams, and then went about attaching it to the neckline of my dress, as you can see me doing here. I also added in a little loop, which is going to be for the button at the back, and I did that just by sewing a small rectangle of leftover fabric together and then turning it the right way around. I folded it in half, sandwiched it in between the facing and the dress, which you can see here, so when you flipped it the right way around, it would pop out. After sewing the neckline down, I started working on the sleeves, which is the worst part of any garment in my opinion, because I just hate doing sleeves. But this one wasn't actually that bad because it's a lot more looser fitting, so that I thought even if I went wrong, there'd still be a little bit of give and I'd still be able to get my arms through. And here's past me with her opinions on how it's turning out. So this is it. It's been about 2 hours worth of work, but I have been neglecting my fiance all day, so this is all I'm going to do for today. And I'm really happy with the results. To say I hate doing sleeves, usually these aren't that bad. A little baggy, but I think that will work with the overall aesthetic of the dress. And maybe may take them in once I've put the entire thing together, I don't know. It does look a bit gappy at the top at the moment, but that's just because I've not put a button at the back yet, so hopefully that will sort itself out when I get there. So on track to finish tomorrow, fingers crossed. To move on with the next part, what I did was measured the width of what the top came out to, and here's past Sam with the maths. So we're going to get a little bit mathsy now, and this is just to do with how you want your skirt part of the dress to look. Now for me, I want it to hit my knee, and the distance between my waist and my knee is roughly 60 centimeters. So divide that by 2. I want 2 tiers that are 30 centimeters each. And that's including seam allowance and everything, because I rounded up to 60 to get that measurement. So that should be right. My width for both skirt tiers are going to be 30 centimeters. To find out the length, what I'm going to do is just add 50 centimeters on to each tier, so that I can gather it in, and each tier is more flared and gathered than the last. So the first tier would obviously be the top, and that's 100 centimeters in circumference. So the second tier, my skirt tier, would be 150 centimeters wide. Adding another 50 centimeters onto that for the width of my final tier, the bottom level of my skirt. So that would be 30 centimeters by 200 centimeters, which is 200, which is a lot. I did manage to get all the fabric cut that I needed. It was like literally just right on it. So it's like, whew. So yeah, essentially what I'm going to do now is 2 lines of the longest stitch on my sewing machine across the top of both pieces, and I'm just going to wiggle them until they're all gathered to the correct measurement. So I'm going to start with the bottom tier to match it to the middle tier, and then do the middle tier so it matches the top section. There's going to be a lot of wiggling. And wiggle I did with over 3.5 meters of fabric that I needed to gather and made sure they fit. I love gathering, but gosh, does it take forever. So you can see now everything in the dress was ready. The top just needed attaching to the bottom, and then we would be good to go. I also forgot that I had to gather the skirt to the top as well, so more gathering, yay! And this is where you gotta sew. Final step now was to add a button. I added this big shiny gold one because I thought it would look cool, and it's what I had available. And the final reveal, here we go guys. Expecting much from this dress. It's not my usual style. I usually tend to go for things that are a lot more fitted, and because I'm a little bit chunky, I was worried that this style of dress would make me feel like a tent, but you could see on my face like how pleasantly surprised I was. I felt really cute and really proud of like all of the work that had gone into this. Watching it back now is really nice, and all that would be left for you to do at this point would be to hem it, which I didn't do until 18 months afterwards, because I'm the worst. But it is, hang on, it is done now. Look, it's done. This garment is finished. I love it, and I hope you love watching this video, and I will see you next time.